People often approach saving for retirement the wrong way. In a lot of ways, saving for retirement is like a math problem, but not in the way that you think. It's really like a simple algebra equation. Remember those? X plus 2 equals 5. Solve for x. Clearly, x has to equal 3 because 3 plus 2 equals 5. Here's the issue. People approach their retirement planning that way, but they're solving for the wrong thing. They establish a number that they hear somewhere or read somewhere that says if they get this much in their retirement accounts, they're good to retire. You have $1 million, you need $2 million, whatever the case may be. They're actually working on the wrong side of the equation. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. But before I do, let me tell you a story that I've seen as a financial advisor play out a whole bunch of times. Somebody reaches out because they think they're getting close to retirement and they want to see what last things they need to do to work it out so that they can get there. And I sit down with them and together we put together a plan. It starts with, what do you want your retirement to be? What do you want to have happen? And then we take a look at the financial situation, their resources, what kind of money have they put away? What kind of retirement income will they have? All of the math stuff. Sometimes at the end of that process, I can tell them that based on the goals that they outlined, they could actually retire right now. Now, maybe they're 61 years old and they were planning to retire at 65 or 66. Initially, they look at me and they go like, wait, what? Like, show me that again. Are you sure? And after that part, they say something like, oh, well, that's exciting, but I'm going to keep with my current plan. I don't mind work so much and things might be even better if I just keep going, which is totally fine. It's different for everybody, and it wasn't their plan. It's unexpected, and so we get their portfolio in order, and they go on back to work, planning to work a few more years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, who knows. Inevitably, somewhere between 3 and 6 months later, we'll be talking, and they'll say, hey, Antonio, you remember when you said that I could retire? Is that still true? Now, what happened there? What happened there is this. They went back to work, happy to know that they could retire, and then Bob from down the hall wastes half their day talking about how he's babysitting his daughter's cat, and Janet from accounting botched another report, which means they've got to go down and see the boss and smooth things over to make sure that nobody gets yelled at. Work stuff happened that you normally put up with because you need the paycheck. But here's the thing, they don't need the paycheck anymore, remember? And so a few of those things add up, and inevitably they go like, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And they take the plunge and they retire well before the date that they thought. Now, why is that? It's because they had been working from the wrong side of the equation. They had set an arbitrary date or an arbitrary number. They would retire when they got to X, when I get to this dollar amount, or when I get to this age. And they were chasing that. Now, in reality, based on what they wanted their retirement to be, they had already arrived at the destination, at the goal. They just didn't know it. And so here's the thing. If you haven't done in-depth retirement planning, if you haven't actually sat down with somebody and worked this out, you might not need $1 million, $2 million. You might not need to work till 65 or 67. You've got to start on the other side of the equation. What do you want retirement to be? What will you do? Will you travel? Will you buy a boat? Will you get a little place out in the country and sit on the front porch and whittle? Whatever it is, that's what you start with. What do you want to have happen? You ever hear the saying, begin with the end in mind? That's the way that you should approach saving for retirement. Now, there are what I see as 3 stages of saving for retirement, and this is an absolute must for stage 3. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but since I brought them up, the 3 stages are something like this. So, first off, you're just getting started. This happens very early in your career. You probably don't have very much money, but you start to save. You put something away. It's all about saving something. This is about building that muscle memory. It's like the first time you go to the gym. You're not exactly lifting heavy weight, but you're doing something, and that's beneficial. And then you graduate up to stage 2. Stage 2 is where you start to get serious about this stuff, and you go like, hey, I'm going to need some money in the future, so you really ramp up your retirement savings. You're trying to max out your accounts. You're looking to get to that 15% of gross income savings target that I talk about all the time. Ideally, this happens as soon as you've become established in your career. For lots of folks, this doesn't happen until their late 40s or even their early 50s. And then you get to stage 3, where you can really start to see what you want your retirement to be. And at that point, you need to start testing to see if you're actually there. If you're not, what final adjustments or tweaks can you make to get there, and hopefully to get there as soon as possible. Now, the begin with the end in mind thing doesn't work in the first 2 stages of retirement. If I'm sitting down talking to a 37-year-old and I ask them what their retirement's going to look like, they don't know. Surely they have like some ideas, but if I start asking, whoa, where are you going to live? Is the house going to be paid off? Are you going to want to travel to see the grandkids? They're like, dude, I don't have grandkids. I'm 37 years old. So I don't ask 37-year-olds what their retirement's going to look like. At that stage, it's like blindly throwing money at the problem. I know I'm going to need money in the future. I'm going to put this away as much as I can. I'm going to build the resources so that I have options later. Now, when I ask a 57-year-old the same questions, they can answer me very clearly. They're closer to the target. They know what it is that they want. And now it's just a matter of quantifying it, making it real, creating a plan that will facilitate those things. It's not about a made-up dollar amount. It's not about a specific age. It's about how the money supports achieving the goals that you have for your own retirement. And that's different for everybody. It's different for every person. Putting together a solid retirement plan is no different than building anything else. You have tools, and you use the tools to construct something. But everyone's retirement is different. The way you use your tools is different than someone else. How aggressively or conservatively you choose to invest. Which accounts you're going to draw from first. How much money you can draw from the accounts. How can you minimize your taxes? The way that you will use these is very different from, for example, your next door neighbor. He may have similar tools. He may choose to use them very differently because of his situation. Because of that, you can't just use some random date or some dollar amount pulled from some article on the internet or from the same neighbor. Start on the other side of the equation. And if you're watching this and you're over the age of 50, you're in stage 3. It's time to assess the situation from the other side to see how close you actually are and what steps you can take to get there. Now, if you've been around the channel before, you know that generally I think folks should retire as early as they can so that they can get the most life out of their retirement. If you've been planning to wait until a specific day and you're watching this video right now, let me explain to you why I think you should retire sooner than you think right over here.